definitely with more influence on the hardcore side of metalcore. Now, going into this album, this was a new style of music that I was not really familiar with. I never really listened to Scene, that's a little bit before my time. A lot of that happened in like the mid 2000s, but it's being discussed now that bands like Wristmeetrazor are bringing a like return to that style of music nowadays. And listening to this album, I was impressed with how technical this band was, because it was easy at first to notice the chaos of what they're doing, but they actually are pretty well together. They're tight, they're uniform, they're technically skilled, and they're just all-around good musicians. One of the things that impressed me was particularly their drummer, named Brian Prosser. His approach on this album was different. He did not play a lot of standard beats that you would hear in a lot of metalcore or metal drumming. There are a few blast beats here and there, a few regular like two-feel type of beats, but he does a lot of like intricate like hemiola patterns and just unique kind of rhythms and things that you wouldn't hear as being the beat or the structure for a part of a song. This was new to me, but I thought it worked really well. I loved the feel, and I thought his sound was great on this album. One of the other things that I really liked about this album that's kind of reserved for like really like exceptional albums, in my opinion. It just slowed down a little too much in the middle. And one of the other things that I would mention is that vocally, I kind of wish that the different vocalists of the band had more differentiating like characteristics. Sometimes it's hard to tell apart between them. Still, though, despite those two minor flaws, I think this is a really good album, and I would definitely recommend it to someone who likes metalcore or like emo punk maybe, who wants something that's different and unusual. Feel free to check this out. This is a really good band. Really good musicians. Very intense music, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say in this album. I appreciate you guys listening, and if you've listened to this album, feel free to let me know what you think. But until then, this is that ASMR guy saying take care and get some sleep.